My name is Beth. Standing in the doorway of the community center, I'm looking at my sister, Lily, sitting alone at a folding table, mascara streaking down her cheeks. The room is empty, and the banner "Thank you for supporting Beth" still hangs, a painful reminder of her betrayal. It's taken me a long time to get to this point, to finally confront her and expose the web of lies she's spun around me. Let me rewind. I grew up in a small town, in a house on Elm Street. My parents, Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, were hard-working people. Dad was a mechanic, and Mom was a schoolteacher. They were kind-hearted but often busy with work, leaving me and Lily to fend for ourselves a lot. Lily was 2 years older than me, and she always had a knack for getting what she wanted. I was 27 when the accident happened. I worked at Maplewood Manufacturing, a factory that produced wooden furniture. One day, a machine malfunctioned, and in an instant, 3 fingers on my left hand were gone. It was a nightmare. I was rushed to the hospital in an ambulance, and I called Mom from there. She asked, "Which hand?" When I told her it was the left, she said, "At least it's not your writing hand." Lily, on the other hand, was quick to take advantage of the situation. She posted a selfie outside a hospital I wasn't even in, with the caption "Praying for my brave little sister." Link in bio. She set up a GoFundMe page, and it ended up raising $12,500. But I never saw a single cent of that money. After the surgery, I woke up in a shared room at St. Mary's Hospital, my left hand wrapped in a huge bandage. Lily was there, but not at my bedside. She was at the nurse's station, signing something with a pen in her hand. She had her coat on and a purse on her shoulder, like she was on a business trip. When she saw me looking, she walked over and put a clipboard on my blanket. I already talked to the discharge nurse. "I got this," she said. I tried to reach for the clipboard, but my left hand was useless, and my right hand hadn't four. So, I signed with my right hand, and the signature looked like a child's. She collected all my important documents: discharge summary, insurance claim forms, workers' comp packet, and even my social security card. She put them in a canvas tote bag with a flower logo on it and said, "You're missing 3 fingers, Beth. You don't need to deal with paperwork. Let me handle it. That's what sisters do." And then she walked out, taking my entire medical and financial identity with her. I went back to Mom's house, feeling helpless. I had to learn how to do everything all over again, holding a spoon, tying my shoes. I'd been independent since I was 18, paying my own rent and having a good credit score. But now, I was relying on others. A few weeks later, I was starting to run out of money. Workers' comp was still being processed, and my savings were dropping. I called Maplewood's HR line, and Ms. Jenkins picked up. She'd been at the factory for years and was like a mother figure to all of us. "About time, girl. We've got a light-duty spot in the shipping department. One hand is fine. You want in?" she said. I agreed to start on Monday. That night, Lily called. When I told her I was going back to work, she went quiet for a moment and then said, "Are you sure? Your hand isn't ready." The next Sunday, she came to Mom's with a casserole and a concerned look on her face. I was on the couch, trying to grip a coffee mug with my left hand. She sat next to me and said, "I talked to Dr. Harris's office. They said pushing too fast can cause permanent nerve damage in your remaining fingers. You don't want to lose the 2 you have left." I told her I felt fine, and my physical therapist said I was ahead of schedule. But she kept insisting, "What if you go back and hurt yourself worse? Then you can't work at all. At least right now, you're healing." I gave in and decided to wait another month. On her way out, she said, "I'll grab your mail on my way out. Save you the walk." And she took my mail, just like she took everything else. A month later, she brought me a new phone. "Yours was cracked anyway. I already set it up, transferred your contacts and banking app. You shouldn't be stressing about tech stuff right now, she said. I turned it on, and everything seemed fine. She also warned me about scammers targeting accident victims and told me to ignore any weird calls or emails. One day, I stopped by Mom's to pick up some winter clothes. Mom was sorting mail at the kitchen table. She had a stack for herself and a stack set aside. Those for me? I asked. Oh, these? Lily said she'd pick them up. Bills and stuff. She handles your accounts, right? Mom said. I just nodded. Lily came 10 minutes later, picked up the stack without sitting down, kissed Mom on the cheek, and walked out. I watched through the kitchen window as she sat in her car and opened every envelope one by one, reading each letter before driving away. It was the first time I thought something was off, but I didn't say anything. A couple of nights later, I couldn't sleep because of the phantom pain in my missing fingers. I got up to get water and heard Lily's voice in the kitchen. She was sitting at the table in the dark, on the phone. She was talking about a hardship application and said she could get the documentation. When she saw me, she quickly ended the call and said she was checking on a friend. I didn't ask any questions, but I knew something wasn't right. 3 months after the accident, I got the mail before Lily. In the stack, there was an envelope from Pine Valley Bank. It said, "Congratulations on your new Pine Valley checking account." I was shocked because I'd never opened an account there. Just then, Lily walked in. When she saw the envelope, her face changed for a split second, but then she smiled and said it was junk mail. They blast those to everyone. It's a marketing thing. I got one last week, she said. I tossed it in the trash, and she took the whole trash bag out. Tax season came 4 months after the accident. Lily came to Mom's at noon and said, "Tax time. Let me do this. You know I'm good with numbers." She opened her laptop and asked for my W-2 and Social Security number. I gave them to her, and she started filing my taxes without even asking if I wanted her to. Family takes care of family. It's what Dad would have wanted, she said. I signed the return, and she said the refund would come in 3 weeks. 5 months after the accident, Mom's phone rang. She picked up and looked confused. Beth owes what? No, that can't be right. Hold on, she said. She told me some collection agency said I owed $3,500 on some account. I said I didn't owe anyone anything and reached for the phone. But Lily walked in from the living room and took the phone from Mom's hand. I'll handle this. These scammers target accident victims. I've reported 3 of them already, she said. She went out to the front porch and came back a few minutes later, saying it was a scammer and she'd reported the number. But that night, I started to think about all the strange things that had been happening. The envelope, the mail Lily took, the calls she intercepted. Something was definitely wrong. 5 months and 2 weeks after the accident, I went back to work at Maplewood. Ms. Jenkins met me at the door and showed me the new shipping protocol. The other guys on the dock were nice, and they welcomed me back. At the end of the shift, I checked my banking app on the phone Lily gave me. There were no notifications, and the screen was clean, which was strange. 6 months after the accident, I needed new safety boots for work. I applied for a basic credit card online, but I was denied. The reason was existing accounts with significant outstanding balances. I was shocked because I only had a debit card from my credit union. I called Lily, and she said it was an identity mix-up. There's another Beth Thompson in the city. It happens all the time. I'll call the credit bureau and sort it out, she said. A week later, she told me it was fixed. 2 weeks after that, I was in the break room at work when my phone rang. It was a collection agency saying I owed $3,800 on a Pine Valley Bank checking account. I remembered the envelope Lily called junk mail. Ms. Jenkins, who was sitting across from me, heard the whole call. She put down her coffee and said, "Beth, that's not a mix-up. Somebody is using your social. Who has your social? I counted on my right hand, Mom, HR, IRS, and then I stopped. Lily. She filed my taxes, kept my medical records, handled my mail, and set up my phone. Ms. Jenkins said, "That's not handling. That's access." That night, I drove home, my left hand shaking in my lap. I called the collection agency back and wrote down the details in my notes app. I realized this had started before my accident. I decided to check my phone settings. I found that all the banking and credit monitoring app notifications were turned off, but social media apps were on. And the Pine Valley Bank app was already installed with a pre-populated email that wasn't mine. It was something like L. Thompson_aim@gmail.com. Lily's last name is Thompson. She had a whole scheme going on. The next morning, I went to the Pine Valley Bank branch outside of town. I brought my driver's license, social security card, and birth certificate. The teller, an elderly woman named Mrs. Brown, told me I had 3 accounts with them: a checking, a savings, and a personal line of credit. I was in shock. She printed out the transaction history, and I saw that there were monthly transfers to Lily Thompson. Over the past 3 years, she'd been using my name to open accounts and take money for herself. I called Ms. Jenkins from the bank parking lot and told her everything. She said it was federal fraud, not just family drama. I drove to Mom's and pulled up Google. The first result was the GoFundMe page. Lily's face was in the cover photo, looking concerned, while below it was a picture of my bandaged hand. All the donor comments were praising Lily, and all the money went to her. I went inside, got Mom's laptop, and pulled my credit report. I found 5 open accounts that I'd never opened. There was a hardship line of credit and a medical payment plan. In total, I was in debt for $52,000, plus the $12,500 from the GoFundMe I never saw. Lily had sent out invitations for a donor appreciation party at a community center. I decided to bring all the evidence: bank statements, credit report, disability records, and phone screenshots. Ms. Jenkins helped me organize everything into a folder with tabs. On the morning of the party, Mom called and said, "Lily's been so stressed planning this party. Just be nice tonight, okay? She's done so much for you." Then she mentioned that another collection letter had come, and she'd given it to Lily. I was furious. I realized Mom had been repeating Lily's words without even knowing it. On the way to the party, I checked my medical portal on my phone. I found a note from Dr. Harris saying that a family member, Lily, had called and reported that I had severe pain and limited mobility, and they recommended extending my disability classification. I added this note to the folder. When we arrived at the community center, Lily was in the middle of a speech. When she saw me, she stopped mid-word. She tried to act like everything was fine, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I walked towards her with the folder in my right hand. She whispered in my ear, "Put it away. You'll make a scene and look crazy." But I wasn't going to be silenced. I stepped towards the mic, and Lily tried to stop me. She told the donors that I'd been struggling since the accident and that my perception was affected. Mom also stood up and told me to sit down. But I didn't back down. I opened the folder and started showing the bank statements, transaction history, and disability records. I told everyone how Lily had stolen my name, my money, and even tried to keep me disabled for the money. The donors were shocked. One by one, they started asking for their money back. Craig, Lily's boyfriend, left without saying a word. Mom came to me and took my damaged left hand, saying, "I gave her your mail every time." I told Lily I was filing charges on Monday for federal identity theft, wire fraud, and benefits fraud. I said she would never handle anything for me again. Now, standing here in the doorway, looking at her broken form, I know I've taken back my name. I've got a long road ahead of me to rebuild my credit and my life, but I'm ready. I'm Beth Thompson, and I'm the only one who gets to be me.